Thank you so much, Ankit. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm honored and welcome everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the session on purpose at work. How do we create or bring meaning into our everyday task? So, this topic today is a very real topic, very relevant for all professionals, and it's very human. We all work every day of our life, we're all professionals. And obviously, sometimes when we work so much and so hard, at the end of the day, we want to be satisfied. We want to feel that we have contributed. But there are days when we feel that, okay, I was very busy, but I don't know what I was doing. And there is that empty feeling. So today, through this session, Purpose at Work, hopefully I'll be able to help you understand how can we create purpose in the work that we do. So before dive deep into the session, I have an activity here and I would like everyone to participate. So please let me know in the chat box, for the answer that I'm going to now ask you the question that when you do not show up at work, does something change or nothing changes? There's no impact. So I guess we'll just wait for this slide to change because it's not happened at my end, but I hope everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay, great. Um, I hope everybody can see me. 1 second. I think we've just kind of lost out on the presentation here. Give us a moment. See, it always happens, right? Technology and stuff like that. Sometimes it doesn't go as to how we plan it, but we don't lose heart. So just go back. Just go back. Yeah. So what breaks if you don't show up? Yeah, nothing changes or something gets impacted. Please let me know in the chat box. What do you think happens if you don't show up at work? Nothing changes. And you know what? Even if you don't know for sure, it's okay. You can just write, I'm not sure. It's fine. But wholeheartedly, let's all participate. Okay, so Pratiksha is saying nothing changes. What about the others? Something gets impacted. Bhavika is saying, Raveen is saying nothing. Navya, something gets. It's lovely to see different kinds of answers. Yeah. And that is what I was expecting because it's okay for a lot of people if you feel that, I'm not sure or nothing changes. Because please remember, sometimes we don't know the value that we add to our work. We just take it as it's work, it's happening, I'm doing it, and we don't understand the value that we are adding to it. So it's okay. Today's session is all about wanting to and understanding what is that value that we add. Okay, because a lot of times that value is not visible to us, and therefore we say that nothing changes, but must be there is something that changes, and we'll try and understand about that. I have some very interesting statistics, the honest truth about work in India today. And this is through a lot of research groups like Gallup and then SHRM and Deloitte Insights. That 71% of Indian employees feel disengaged at work. They don't feel they're engaging with their work. Yeah. 67% don't know why they come to work. A lot of them, 67% is quite high. They don't know why they come to work. They come to work, but they don't know why. 58% are at risk of burnout. So, purpose can change all of these. Yeah, the statistics can change if we understand what is the purpose that, our job entails. And that is why we are doing this session today. So please remember, I know I am presenting it, but I would love it if the session becomes interactive. Please do share your thoughts because it's nothing right or wrong. It's your thoughts. Would love to see what your thoughts are. There's like two-way communication that I would encourage. If you want to speak, speak out some thoughts of yours. Just let me know your name in the chat box and I will ask you to invite you to unmute and talk about it. Yeah. Yes, there will be a lot of, a handbook that will be shared with you with a lot of tips. Okay. Now let's try and understand and see what we think creates purpose. So lots of professionals believe that, purpose comes only if you have a promotion and you get that right kind of job, then I can add purpose to it. Or if it's something that I'm passionate about, or if it's a dream job, so there's nothing wrong if a lot of us think like that because we are conditioned. In India, we are conditioned to think like this. I remember when I was a kid, I was told by my parents, become an engineer or become a doctor because those are the jobs that, you should be doing and you'll be doing something great. So we're all conditioned like that. I'm sure a lot of you probably must have also been, said something similar. And I want you to understand that it's not just these big jobs or extraordinary, milestones that bring in purpose, but every small, ordinary moment also has a certain purpose. So, like lots of people say that, when I become this, then my life will be great. I'll be able to do something great. But no, your everyday, day-to-day job also has something very important, that purpose that's there in that job, and we need to identify. And in fact, when you find that connect, when you connect it to some human impact, you will start seeing that you have higher resilience towards your job, greater persistence, and better engagement. And I'm going to give you a very small example here, but it's a very beautiful example. The story goes that the then President John F. Kennedy was touring NASA one day, and on his tour, he met with this custodian, the security guard of NASA. And he asked him, he said, my friend, what role is your like, what's the job that you do here? What role do you play? And any guesses what did the person answer? Any guesses? Either you can unmute and immediately tell me or put it in the chat box. What do you think the person answered? The president asked him, what's your role here at NASA? Yeah, it's okay. Come on, don't hesitate. It doesn't matter if it's not what I'm going to be saying. Wow, Kankana, right? I hope I've pronounced your name right. Absolutely right. A round of applause. The person said, I'm sending a person to moon. I mean, isn't that so beautiful? Because actually, what is his job? His job is that of a security guard. But look at the way he is perceiving his role. He's saying that I am involved in sending a person to moon. I'm not just standing here and just looking at the security and seeing people's ID card. I'm making sure the security is good so that people inside can do their job and eventually send a person to moon. So the moment employees connect their daily task to human impact, they start showing higher resilience, higher persistence, and better engagement towards their job. So lovely. I mean, I was really kind of, impressed when I read that story and I thought I must share this with you. So let's try and therefore understand. I have one very interesting fact here, that as per Harvard Business Review, only 15% of managers and employees state that they are living their purpose at work. That's a very small percentage, 15%. While 85% of executives and upper management report the opposite. So 85% of, upper management and all say we have purpose at our job. Why do you think this happens? And it's a fact, it happens everywhere. Why do you think something like this happens? Anybody wants to share their thoughts in the chat box? And please feel free to speak. Just let me. Okay, Rahul, I think you wanted to say something. I'm so sorry. I think you put your name in the chat box. Yeah, Rahul, please. You want to unmute and speak? Please go ahead.
Ma'am, if anyone wants to speak, then I have to ask them to raise their hand so that I can allow in to add into the panelists, and then I will allow them to speak.
Okay. I thought just putting their name in the chat box would be enough. No?
No, ma'am, they have to raise
Okay.
their hand so that I can allow
Okay.
it in the
So yeah,
panel.
please go ahead and do that if anybody wants to speak. Because I can't see that. I can only see the chat box and Okay, if somebody does want to, please do that, and Ankit will then unmute and let me know. So, why does this happen? Can you let me know in the chat box why only 15% of employees feel that, they are living their purpose at work, while 85% of upper management say the other way, that they, you know, are living their purpose? It's as simple as visibility into the job that they are doing. Because leadership, upper management have an overall view of the strategy, the outcome, but that doesn't mean that people who are, at a lower level, like just junior managers or middle management who are doing their jobs, are not living their purpose. It's just that they don't have the visibility. So therefore, we need to create that visibility. We need to create that meaning and understand that even if I'm doing a very small part of that entire chain, there is that important purpose. Imagine if, in a factory, the person who switches on the button doesn't end up coming on that day and nobody else knows how to switch on the button. The factory will not function. Yeah, so it's a very important thing. The person might say, I just go and click the button. I don't do anything much, but it's such an important role. Imagine if the receptionist doesn't end up coming on a day, things get into a chaotic kind of a environment, because meetings, people who are visitors who are coming, they're confused. Nobody knows how to attend to them. So it's such an important role. It is how you perceive your role. Okay, let's move on and see this big myth about purpose. Meaning comes from having the perfect role. That's a big myth. In fact, the truth is, meaning comes from how we interpret our role, how we see our role. Like I just gave you that example of the custodian at NASA, or, the factory worker or the receptionist. In fact, I'll give you one more example. HR. The HR person might say that, oh, I'm just screening all these resumes and I'm just trying to hire people. But the fact is, if the HR person interprets her or his role as, I'm trying to hire the right fitment for that role so that the organization achieves its target and maintains its culture, then there's so much of purpose in that role. So, meaning comes from how we interpret our role. How many of us agree with that? Can I see a show of thumbs up in the chat box? How many of you agree with this? Please let me know. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to ask me before we move on. Yes, can I see a round of thumbs up? Agree. Rahul is saying agree. Anil is saying agree. Great. Lovely. Because this way, at least I also know that everybody is listening to me and is following up. So, in between, I'll keep asking you that. And I might also ask you some questions. So, thank you for that. Okay. So, like I said, we've been taught to associate meaning with milestones. Now, let's go beyond that, because now we are understanding that there is more to it. Let's understand the psychology of meaning. How do we create that meaning? Because somebody might say, how do I create that meaning? So we've got some steps here. Okay. Meaning is not found. You have to construct it. Okay. Now, two people can be doing the same job, but they can actually experience different levels of fulfillment. And I'll give you some examples for you to understand what I'm saying here. So therefore, there are four main factors on which meaning is based on. One is, how do you perceive your job? So what's the perception? How do you interpret? What story are you telling yourself? It's very important. If you tell yourself a very negative and small story, you will start believing that. So how do you interpret your job? Whom are you connecting with in that job? Are you connecting with anybody? Or are you just seeing it as like, I'm just doing my job and that's it? Are you seeing that it's going to, benefit another person? And what kind of awareness are you bringing in? That awareness is for self. Am I contributing to that particular role? Am I contributing to that particular task? So purpose is less about what you do and more about how you relate to what you do. Yes. Now, I have an example that I can share with you on this. Okay. Now, for example, let's look at, again, let's take an example of a person who's raising invoices. Somebody might say, I'm just raising invoices. Somebody might say that, look, I am actually making sure that these are error free invoices for the clients so that we get payment on time and we meet our targets. Because you need money, right? Any organization needs money. So only if your invoices are right, these are error-free invoices, which can be quickly acted upon and you can receive payment. So same kind of job two people are doing, but one is saying I'm just raising invoices. The other one is saying that I am trying to do this so that my organization meets its target. So that's the kind of awareness that person is bringing into it. Okay, let's move on and let's have some more statistics, which is very interesting. Purpose doesn't just change how you work, it also changes how you live. Remember, we said in the second slide that when you start having a human connect, your resilience increases, you start feeling much better. You're like, your perseverance, you want to do that. You want to make sure that you contribute. So, when you start actually creating that meaning and you start feeling good about your role, 23% lower cortisol. So, purposeful work measurably reduces your stress hormones because you're connecting to that job. You start enjoying what you're doing. So, therefore, you have less of stress hormones. 27% of heart health, less likely to experience a cardiac event. People who enjoy. A lot of people who, and you can see them in various fields, but right top of mind is creative people. When they are doing what they enjoy, they have a better health. And why can't we do that even in other spheres of our life? People who are working in other, like a media person or a finance person, the moment you start adding meaning and you feel you're contributing, you start feeling good about it. And hence, when your stress is less and you have a better health, you also obviously start feeling like, you get good sleep. So more quality sleep every night and you sleep little more extra 1.2 hours. You don't keep getting up in the middle of the night. What am I doing? Am I adding value? Is the company thinking that, I add value? And resilience, stronger buffer against anxiety and burnout. So purpose is not just a soft skill, it is also a health outcome. So that important, purpose is. I have one more. And how does it benefit the organization? It benefits the organization. There are some good facts here. 2.3% more productive. Purpose driven employees outperform peers by over double. There's lesser attrition, less absenteeism, because if you enjoy your work, then you are obviously want to come to work and your organization benefits. There's lesser loss. So people say that something, equivalent to 1.5 L crore annual loss, cost of employee disengagement in India. Because the employees engage and therefore they feel better. Yeah, so that was some statistics, interesting ones. Now let's look at how we look at our work. There are three ways you can layer it. Can we just go behind, please? Yeah. There are three ways we can actually look at our work. So there are people who say, I'm doing a job. I do a 9 to 5. I work for money. Clock in, clock out, I get my paycheck, and that's it. So that's a job that person is doing. Somebody says, I'm actually building my career. It's my career. I work for growth, so promotions and then, good salaries and some achievements, meeting my targets. So they are building their career. Now, there are some people who say that this is my calling. Please remember, calling is not a profession, it's a perspective, how you perceive your job. My work contributes to something beyond me. So, you know what? And I'm not saying this because I want to say it, but I feel because I was in the corporate world earlier. Yeah, I've worked in various industries like advertising, banking. I've been a corporate trainer. I feel this is my calling because I feel nice about doing what I do, which is holding these kind of webinars, workshops. I'm a certified life coach. This I feel because I feel there's a lot of purpose in what I do. I feel I'm contributing. So hopefully today, because of this session, there'll be some better understanding of how to build purpose at work. Yeah, so it's not a profession. It's just a calling that you kind of, find in your job. So even repetitive work can feel meaningful when connected to contribution. I do this every day, literally. So it is repetitive at times. And it's not that every time I feel good about it. There are times when probably I feel, what am I doing? But when I sit down and I see that probably it's adding some value to people, there is some takeaway, then there is some meaning, attached to it. So repetitive work definitely can feel because financial analyst who is generating reports, and I've got some example to support this. So let's move on to the example. Yeah. And this will give you a better understanding. So there are these two employees in an organization, employee A and employee B. Employee A says, I just processed orders in the system for my entire shift. So probably they work in some e-commerce platform, Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever. Yeah. Now, employee B, obviously, even employee B is processing orders in the system for that shift of that person. But what is the employee B saying? I ensure orders move through the system correctly so the business meets its targets and customers receive their orders on time. I'll pause here for a moment. Let's just see that again. What is employee B saying? I ensure orders move through the system correctly so the business meets its target and customers receive their orders on time. Now it's twofold. This employee B is bringing in twofold, and we'll see in the next slide how the person is bringing in that meaning. Okay, so let me first ask you, who is more likely to feel energized and resilient? Employee A or employee B? Let's have answers in the chat box. Sneha, thank you. I'll wait for some more answers. Sandeep B, Pratik B, Anil. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now tell me, what exactly changed here? The job or the perspective? What changed here? The job or the perspective? Yes, absolutely. Perspective changed. Because remember, the job is the same. The job hasn't changed, but the perspective. So, what is B doing? We'll see in the next slide. What is B doing? Employee B is interpreting the job differently, the role differently. The job is the same, but the role, the interpretation of the role is different. The meaning that employee B is attaching to his or her work. And the meaning, can somebody tell me what is the meaning here? What meaning are they attaching? Is employee B attaching? Because there are two meanings. Quickly in the chat box, anybody. Even if I get one answer, that's good enough. Because yes, the story employee B is saying is different. So what is that story that employee B? And remember, I told you 4 reasons with which you can build your purpose for any job. Yes, let's have that. Let's have it in the chat box. It will feel nice to at least see one answer. Let's have that answer quickly, please. Perspective. Vision is clear and work good way. Yes, Praveen, feeling that he's responsible for a progress. Mancham, thank you. Yes, even Praveen, your answer is right. There are different ways, views, and thoughts. So, what is employee B doing? Attaching it to the overall growth of the organization and also a human touch. That the customer who will receive the order and the right order on time will be so happy. Don't you feel disappointed when your order doesn't come on time and is wrong? I remember receiving a packet which was empty. I had ordered something, that person came and gave me the order and I opened it. I said, "Ye to khali hai." You know? So Imagine, Shailendra, thank you, heart, yes, visibility and purpose of doing the job. He's clear with the department and organizational glow. Excellent. Yeah. So this is how for any job we can take out, we can perceive the job in a certain way, tell the story, and get that connection and then be aware of what we are doing. So great. I'm like really, really happy to see that. Lovely. Now, let's look at how we sometimes move through our career. Yeah. So basically, we're all working, right? We're all professional. Most of us here, I think even families are invited here. Now, there are two kinds of way you build your career. One is the resume style, and the other is eulogy. I'll tell you what it means. We all make resumes for our job, yeah, for trying to get a job somewhere. What do we do in the resume? We put our targets, our achievements, our qualification. It's all very, like straightforward. What tasks are we doing? What promotions I got? What achievements I got? And all of that. So, and please remember, there's nothing wrong with that. We also work like this at workplace. I have to meet these targets. I have to achieve this. I have to finish. The output has to be good. Yes, it's very important. I'll come back to this. Let me look at the eulogy mindset. What does eulogy mindset say? That some people build their career on this mindset. That is, of course, target is important. But at the same time, am I also seeing what value am I adding to the organization or to my team with whom I'm working? Is my relationship with my team members good? Or am I like just kind of making them really work hard? Or am I being just very selfish, self centered to get my targets? Am I creating some value that when I leave this job and go to some other place, people will still say that, the work was being done so well? So, yes, we do need to meet our targets, but at the same time, we also need to create and contribute something beyond that. Because remember, if you only work with resume mindset, if you do not get your achievements or you do not get your promotion, which are external motivational factors, you will get disappointed, you will lose interest in your work. And then you might just want to leave. Oh, I didn't get promoted. I worked so hard. I'm leaving. But somebody who's working with eulogy mindset will also see the other factors, the kind of bonding, team bonding, contribution, overall development, and might say that, okay, even if I didn't get my promotion this time, I know I'm adding value, I'm contributing, I will wait out for my promotion for the next term. So it's very important for yourself to see whether you're just building a career or are you also contributing? Are you also a part of that contribution story? Even after you leave, will people still remember you and say that, this person added, had contributed this? So this is clear to everybody? Yes? No? Any questions here? Do you want me to explain this a little more? Can you quickly see that? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, lovely. Now what I want to do is there's an activity. Okay? I hope everybody has their pen and paper. And I want this to do for yourself. I don't need you to put it in the chat box. If you still want to share, you can. If you feel that you've contributed, in your work for your organization, something, please feel free to share. It'll be nice to know. But I'll give you 2 minutes and it's 4 o'clock now. Make these two columns and put for yourself under resume, what all have you achieved? And under eulogy, what all have you done? And the questions are there to help you. Yeah, please go ahead. Once you're done, give me a thumbs up and we can move forward. One more minute remaining. And if in case you don't have paper and pen, it's okay. You can even make notes on your phone or you can just think about it. But it's important you give it some thought because once you've done it, I will ask you which list feels more energizing, which list feels more human. Yeah, so it's done. Can I see a round of thumbs up? Have you all answered for yourselves? Is this activity done by everyone? I think everybody is still busy doing. It's okay if you've not finished it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, wait for one more minute. Okay, somebody sent me a message saying, okay, no problem. While we're waiting for some of them to finish, I will just reiterate. Thank you, Lata, for saying eulogy mindset. That yes, it's important, yeah, that you have your target, you have your achievements, and it's not bad because it's nice to have some external motivational factors, but the motivation has to come from internal. Yeah, that's very important because in the long run, that can see you going forward. Because if you only depend on external, it'll be like a yo-yo. Sometimes you'll feel good, sometimes you'll feel bad because you're depending on only external factors to keep you motivated and energized. So it's important to have that eulogy mindset also. Great. Now let's understand in today's world when we're all so very busy, why meaning disappears from our work. Yeah, because we all feel we're always busy, right? I'm sure nobody here will say, I don't feel busy. Yeah, very rare. Okay, now let's understand. There are some factors here on this slide. Why do we feel that meaning is disappearing? Because our jobs are very fragmented. Yes, it's a long chain from the start to the finish. Everybody cannot do everything. People have to do their particular role. But now, because there's so much to do at any given point of time, you are focused on that particular job. And what happens because you're focused only on that, can't see the final outcome. So there is the visibility gets impacted because you can't see what you're working towards or what your work is contributing to the end product. You tend to kind of lose that purpose and you're so busy. So being busy starts replacing being purposeful. You have to finish this. You have to finish so many, like, sometimes when you're working towards a target, I have to make 30 calls today. Why are you making those 30 calls? What is happening because of those 30 calls? You don't get to see. So you don't have a visibility of the impact that is caused by these 30 calls. And because you're so busy, you don't even find out at times. And because you don't find out, you don't know what you're adding to. And end of the day, you do feel I'm so busy and tired, but what did I work towards? You know, and hence meaning disappears. Yeah. People rarely disconnect because they stop working. They disconnect because they are not able to see the outcome. And because of that, slowly and gradually, you start getting disconnected. So this disconnect doesn't happen immediately. It keeps building on, and one fine day you realize you're totally disconnected. So it's important to see how to kind of not get disconnected. But first, we will see why this happens because there's also a psychological, uh, you know, reason for it. Now, our brain is so powerful and so strong. What does the brain do when we are constantly working and we are busy working? The brain trades meaning for efficiency. It wants efficiency, right? And it's used to you doing that same work. So you're working faster, you're reducing your mental effort. Your brain doesn't want. So, for example, if you have to send a lot of emails, and nowadays we have those templates and we have all of that, right? We don't really put too much of attention to it. We are busy sending those templates. We're not really seeing what we're doing. And when we're doing that, our brain so trains. Why look at it? Why look at all these emails? We know what it is. So you're wanting to send it by a certain time. So efficiency becomes important. So it starts handling your routine job efficiently. But please remember there's a hidden cost. The more repetitive work becomes, we stop consciously thinking about it. I have to do it, I'm doing it. So we are consciously thinking, we stop consciously thinking about it. We stop emotionally connecting to it. We're not connecting to that job and we stop noticing its impact. Like I said, 30 calls have to happen. I have to do it. I stop noticing or I'm not interested in finding out what impact it's causing. And it happens to everyone, not just one or two people, because that's the way the brain starts functioning. Yeah? So it's important to notice that it trades meaning for efficiency. And therefore, we need to make sure that we bring back that meaning. Very quick example I'll give you. So, for example, a marketing professional who is, into social media and has to schedule for a certain post, has to plan out how should it be screened, when should it be shown. So the marketing executive is planning the social media post every day, but never sees who engages with it, how the customers are responding to it. The person is only doing the media plan. It's not therefore seeing somebody else is analyzing that. But if even that person shows interest as to, okay, how did my media plan do? What was the outcome? The person can feel more energized, can get more meaning out of his or her role. Yeah. Any questions? Are we all good? Are we all in sync with what I am talking about? Please let me know so that I can move forward. Okay, can I see some more? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's making the effort to letting me know, yeah, and making me move forward. So I've got one example here, and I want everybody to pay attention and then give me the answers. Rahul has been creating weekly business reports every Friday for the past 2 years. In the beginning, he enjoyed the responsibility because he felt involved in important business processes and was excited to contribute. However, over time, the work started feeling repetitive and mechanical. He now finds himself thinking, my work doesn't really matter. Anyone could do this, and I'm just updating numbers every week. Even though Rahul is performing well and completing his task efficiently, he feels increasingly disconnected and unmotivated at work. So, what is Rahul actually missing? Better salary, more skills, visibility of purpose and impact, or more experience? Let me have the answers in the chat box. Great. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll see in the next slide that actually it's visibility of purpose and impact. That is what is missing. His problem is he can no longer see who benefits from his reports, what decisions they influence, what problems they prevent, why his effort matters. So by just he having visibility with that would keep him energized. Yeah, isn't this really beautiful? Because it happens to a lot of us. We all go through this where sometimes we don't know what it is. So let's look at the impact gap. Like I said, there is a series of things that happen starting from a small role. So every task creates a pathway. Task, effect, support, outcome, human impact. Very small example. There is a project coordinator. His or her job is to schedule meetings so that everybody can then come together, you know, can come together and get into meetings and take decisions. So if only one person takes a decision, it's not right, right? Everybody on that project should be meeting regularly so that they can then discuss. So scheduling meetings improves coordination because when you coordinate, you meet everybody, you take decisions, you reduce delays because everybody is on the same page. They are not working in isolation. They're all coming together thanks to the project coordinator. And it improves the client trust because when your project happens on time with that quality that the client was expecting, you also improve the client trust. So it's very important for a person. So, for example, if you have to launch something, the person who's designing that, the person who's selling that, the person who's marketing that, and finally, when it goes to the market, everybody has to be in sync. Everybody should have the visibility that, you know, of the job that's going to impact that final outcome. So it's very important to reduce that gap. Okay. Now let's look at, and this is something that you need to do. Reflect for yourself. I'll give you, probably 30 seconds to reflect. Have you ever underestimated the importance of your own work simply because you couldn't see the final outcome? Reflect and just let me know yes or no in the chat box. I don't want you to tell me what it is, what work, but do you feel that? Mencham is saying no, that's good. Okay, Anil, nice to know that. Yes, Prasad, I have felt that lots of times. Yeah, Sneha saying yes, Sandeep is saying yes. So yes, so I can see a lot of you are saying no, a lot of you are saying yes. So it's a mixed bag, and absolutely, it's not necessary. Everybody might not, experience this. Some might not. So please remember, this reflection is for yourself. If you're feeling that, what is it that you can do to make it better? That is a question that you have to ask for yourself. Yeah. So please ask that and see what you can do to make sure that you don't feel that. Okay? Yeah. Now I have something for you to do, and you can do it even later because this will require a lot of thought. So choose one task you regularly do at work and map its full impact chain step by step. What exactly do I do? Be specific about the task. Who uses or depends on this? That's a very important question, right? What does this task enable? What larger outcome does it ultimately support? And I have an example which will help you. And please remember, this will also be there in your handbook. Okay. So this is what you can do. And this is for, engineers who are working in probably a plant and all of that. Preventive maintenance done properly. That's the task. If that happens really well, fewer machine breakdowns, smooth production flow, higher productivity and lower wastage, better profitability for the company, employee growth opportunities. Yeah. So this is the impact chain. How from one thing it goes on, every task is creating the next pathway. And finally, overall, there is employee growth opportunity, better organization output. So meaning versus motivation. Most people believe I need motivation first, but research shows meaning creates motivation. So believe in yourself. Remember, we also did this about resume mindset and eulogy mindset. If you only wait for motivation and that too external motivation, then you cannot go on. So when you create meaning for yourself, that I am doing this, it's helping A, it's helping B, it's helping the organization on whole. So please believe in yourself because I had said this that there is no task which is small. The security guard at NASA believed in himself and he kept himself motivated because of that meaning that he created for himself. Yeah. So it's important to have that meaning. Now, this is just for you to kind of be very sure, when, so a repeat, I have to finish this report. This report helps leadership avoid costly mistakes. So there's a meaning that's being created by the individual. So for you to just reflect on it, which version creates more energy? Thank you. Thank you for answering. Yeah. Which version feels more purposeful? Scenario B, right? It feels more purposeful. Okay. So great. Now, yeah, let's look at how can we create? Because some people might say, okay, you're saying create meaning. How do we create that meaning? Very simple. It's called task crafting. You craft your task in a certain way. It is the ability to actively redesign. Yeah, and you saw how in the previous slide there was a bit of redesigning. How you work. Just see how you work, how you connect, how you think about work. And then I'll elaborate this in the next slide. When you have to see how you work, how do you design it by changing something? So I will show you in the next slide. Task crafting, changing how you do the task, improve a process, add some kind of creativity, take ownership for that task. So, for example, an HR person who says, I'm just recruiting, screening all resumes. How can you change that thing little by adding some creativity? Design a better screening process so that it feels good. Take ownership that, I'm designing this. It will help me screen better candidates. I'll improve the process so that I don't get, and waste my time and other people's time by interviewing those people. So you change that. You're saving time. You're improving the whole system. Then relational crafting, who you connect with, understanding the stakeholders. When you're recruiting somebody, you want to recruit the right talent. So go meet the hiring managers, go meet those department people who are wanting, candidates. Talk to some leadership. Say that what kind of talent pool do you want to create? So collaborate more intentionally. Cognitive crafting, how you interpret the task. I'm just screening or I'm just sending emails. No. When you're sending emails, even if you're sending a reminder email, what are you doing? You're actually aligning people together for that meeting, which is so important to take the next step. So, how you interpret the task? I create clarity and alignment by that email. So, a project coordinator can say that, look, I'm coordinating because I'm bringing everybody at the same page so that decisions can be made. So, it's very important how you do the task, how you connect with it, and how you interpret. So, even in your day to day, and remember, this is not some just motivational speech that I'm giving you here. Try doing it. Try it for some time. And you will see that, yes, you can bring that shift. And some of these examples that I've shared are real examples. Yeah. So do reframe your task. Pick one task you find routine and try and see how can I improve or personalize it? Who benefits from this? And what bigger purpose does this serve? Stay with this. Do it in a relaxed space of time and mind and see you will be able to answer most of these questions and improve your task. Yes? Do you agree with me? And see, even if there can be some change, I feel that, my purpose of this presentation will get fulfilled. That even if some shift can happen through this. Yeah, that's my. Thank you, Rahul, for saying that. Okay, yeah, great. Co-reflection activity, a day in my life. List 4 to 5 tasks you do regularly. For each task, who benefits? What happens if this was not done? What larger purpose does it support? So now you can do it at work. You can do it even in your life because there's purpose, right? Everybody has a purpose. A housewife has a lot of purpose. She's managing the whole house, keeping everybody happy. So instead of just saying, I'm a housewife, no. I'm a homemaker. So whether it's at work, whether it's in your life, this is a very important reflection activity that you should all do. It will be there in your handbook. Do take out some time and do that. And I have one last thing, which is all about true and false. Yeah. All that we did in today's session in the last 50 minutes, let's try and see if we can answer this. And it's good fun. Do not worry if your answer is wrong. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You're learning. We're all learning, right? So I want to see a lot of answers in the chat box. The first one, let's look at it. Meaningful work must always feel exciting. Do you agree? Yes, no. Meaningful work must always feel exciting. Okay, I can see some saying yes, true, some saying no. Let's see what's the answer. False. No, meaningful work must always feel exciting. No, it's not possible. So I'll give you an example. Okay, some repetitive jobs can not be for people very exciting. Yeah, but it is very meaningful. Very. So, for example, if the person who pays your salary doesn't come, it's a repetitive job. That person can make it meaningful, but it's not probably that exciting. Okay? So, meaningful work must always feel exciting? No. You can create meaning in your work, even if it's not very exciting, because there is a lot of value in that work. Is that clear now? Because this is very important. We'll pause for some time and understand this. Please tell me if you've understood this. Now, I will give you the example of that security guard. He removed meaning from his job. It was probably not very exciting, but he made it look exciting for himself by adding meaning to it. Do you agree, everyone? Yes? Great. Because if there's any confusion, you have to ask this. Okay? Because this is very, very important. So, meaningful work is not always exciting because many such jobs might not be very, very exciting. They're repetitive, they're quiet, but they are, very important and it has to be done. So, for you to make sure that you create meaning in it and to find the purpose, it's important that you create meaning, even if it's not very, very exciting, but you create it exciting for yourself. Let's move on to the next one. Employees feel more engaged when they understand who benefits from their work. Employees feel more engaged when they understand who benefits. Yes, some more answers? I know a lot of you have answered already. Can I have some more answers? And you're absolutely right. Yes. When you feel and you know somebody is benefiting from here, that human touch, you obviously feel more engaged, right? Great. Yeah. Next one. If a task is small, its impact is probably small too. What do you think? True or false? If a task is small, its impact is probably small too. Soumya said, okay, lots of people are answering. Absolutely. It is false. Yes, let's see. Let's see what the answer is. Small tasks often support much bigger outcomes. And we've all seen that. A project coordinator, a reminder email. Yeah, very important meeting. But because a reminder email didn't go, a lot of people didn't show up. Yes, teamwork. Absolutely. Next one. Only leadership roles create real organizational impact. True or false? Thank you for your answers. Let's see what the answer is. Absolutely. It's a common myth, which remember I took it right in the beginning, where 15% of managers and, like employees said, we don't add, purpose. 85% said it's a myth, it's false. Great. Next one. Burnout can increase when people stop seeing meaning in their work. True or false? Yes, let's have some more answers. Okay, let's see what the answer is. True. And the reason being, emotional exhaustion feels heavier when effort seems disconnected. You know, when you don't see meaning in your work, you don't see who's benefiting, sometimes you feel emotionally drained and exhausted because you're feeling that I'm not sure if there's any meaning in that work. Yeah. So you feel it's pointless. So burnout can increase when people stop seeing meaning in them. Absolutely. So it's very important to see meaning and don't wait for only others to bring that meaning into your life. Do it for yourself. Yeah. Great. Thank you. That was lovely. A round of applause for all of you. Yeah. Now there is a reset too. Daily 3-question reflection. At the end of your workday, ask yourself, who did I help today? What did this enable? Why does this matter? So this is your takeaway. You will have to ask yourself this every day. Because remember, we want to create meaning and purpose in the work that we do to make it more exciting for ourselves, wanting to come every day and do our job. And when you know that, you're touching someone by helping that person, by adding value to your job, your role, and also helping somebody and the whole team and the whole organization, it does. So to that, there's one more question. That question I will want you to answer now. Okay? Now, this is a statement that you have to complete. From today, I will start seeing my work as dash instead of dash. Anything that you feel you would want to. From today, I will start seeing my work as dash instead of anything that you want to. Value, task, okay, great. Very good. I'll see my work as value addition instead of just a task. Lovely. Thank you, Tushar, for answering that. Can I have some more? Can I have some more answers? Okay, let me give you an example. I'll see my work as contributing. Yes, Bhavika, thank you. Meaningful instead of task. Great. Contributing to the growth of a person, the organization, the team. So you can have a eulogy mindset instead of seeing just as a resume. You will not see your work as just being dependent on somebody else adding value, but creating your own value. Yes, impact to organization, task, lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah. So yes, with that, we come to the end of the session today. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will just share one example, like a true life example that happened today, in fact. And I told my colleague I will share this with all of you all. So somebody is leaving and she came and gave me a note. And I read that. And it was such a nice note because this person said that I added something to her life. She saw something that the way I conducted myself, and she also wants to do that. So it felt very nice because it made me feel that I've added some kind of purpose, to my job by helping somebody else also kind of learn more. So yes, it's always an ongoing process. And when you're at it, it can help you achieve the purpose that you set out for. So great. Thank you so much. And the floor is open. Please, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. You can either put it in the chat box, or now if Ankit can unmute and you can speak, please do that. But thank you from my end. Yeah. And I would love to hear you all. Thank you, Sneha. Thank you. Rahul, that's nice. From today, I will start seeing my work as a contribution instead of just a job. Great. Nice to know that. Kankana, thank you. Thank you for your time. Yes, you've also all taken out time and, attended this. So, Prasad, thank you.
Yeah, Silender, you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Radna, for giving such a wonderful session. But my question is over here is that transforming from resume to eulogy is a little bit tough, especially when a person starts their career. Right. So, at the whenever we are in a leadership position in an organization, how can we understand that the new joiner is under which impression? Either he is in a resume position, resume mindset, or in a ideology mindset.
okay. Great question. Thank you so much for asking. So, see, obviously, even resume mindset is very important because that, in fact, is needed because you want people to achieve their target. You want people to, meet their and get their achievements, get their promotions, because that's how, end of the day, they will see their growth and the organization will grow. What this particular slide said was that while you're doing that, whether you're at a senior level or a mid management level or a new entry, you need to also be mindful of while you're doing your job, is that job at the cost of somebody else? Yeah, like for example, when two people or three people work on a certain project, somebody might just go and say that, I created this, I did that, while it was a team. So then the person should say, we did this job, we created, we sat through the night and we did this. So it was a joint effort. And that is when you realize whether somebody is building his or her career with just a resume mindset, wanting their achievements, their targets, credits for that work, or are they having a eulogy kind of mindset where it is making sure everybody is benefiting from that. Everybody is shown as adding, that output to that particular task. That is what it means, whether you're doing it. And see, when you do it that way, you have a better work environment when you're working with a eulogy mindset because everybody will work in harmony. Everybody will feel, otherwise, that person gets left out at times. Initially, that person will take the credit, but very soon they will realize that it's not for the long run because even the other team members will realize how that person is. And that person will end up having a lot of obstacles and will lose interest, will then want to leave and go to another job. You will see a lot of people keep jumping jobs because they are not able to find that kind of purpose or meaning in their task. You can keep skipping jobs, but that will not help you. Yeah, so I hope I've answered your question. Yeah. So whether
Yes,
it's
thank
a
you, Radhana.
thank you. Yeah. So whether it's a new person, new entry, middle management, senior people, in fact, senior people, need to take their team along. They need to make sure that they look at everybody's buy-in. Like I lead a team, and if somebody tells me, whatever be the situation, but I have to reach my target because I've been given target by my management. But I'm like, okay, today if you cannot reach your target, it's okay. So that person on her own wants to next day make sure that doubles the target because so that's the eulogy mindset. Yeah. And yes, it's not easy. Nothing when you have to change something for the betterment, it takes an effort. And hopefully, even if certain points are taken and followed for a certain period of time, I'm sure there can be some kind of change. And that's always an ongoing effort, right? So thank you. Yes, Anil? Okay, that was you? Okay, because now I can see. Okay, thank you, everyone. Ankit, are you there? Can we leave?
Yeah, ma'am. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this weekend afternoon session. So have a wonderful weekend ahead and find your purpose on it. And we will see you at the next one. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, man, for having this beautiful session
Yes.
with us.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good weekend and have a good evening. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.